Now, if you got a problem with that, step to me then. What's up? Step to me then. What's up?
Oh, you want him?
Yeah.
I'll be more than happy to give me, baby.
I didn't get the money that I thought I should have done, and they won't give me a raise on the Wayans Brothers, but I prolonged it too long, asked for more money. They took the contract off the table.
But NBC didn't want him. But we hired him anyway. They wanted, yeah, it was like we didn't care. It was like, that's our Pops, that's it. Take it or leave it.
Of all the beloved black sitcoms to come out of the 90s, The Wayans Brothers has consistently ranked as a fan favorite. Its mix of humor, family chemistry, and relatable storylines made it stand out.
Grown now, I'm grown. I'm scared. What you want to do? What's up?
Back it up, son.
But while fans loved the show, behind the scenes, it wasn't all smooth sailing for Marlon and Shawn Wayans. Coming from a legendary comedic family, Marlon and Shawn Wayans were no strangers to entertainment. They were young, talented, and ready to take on the TV world. But the reality hit them hard.
Break yourself! Give me your...
Speaking to Netflix's Strong Black Lead in 2019, Marlon reflected on how they faced backlash early on. Me and Shawn came out on a brand new network. We launched the WB. We were two young black men who created a show. I was 20 and Shawn was like 22. You'd think we'd get all this support, but we got hammered. Everybody hated us. Even Cosby hated us. Marlon didn't hold back in comparing their show to the more polished image of the Cosby Show. Here's the thing, he explained. We're physical comedians, and we speak from a blue-collar perspective. I was born and raised in the projects of New York City. Not everybody wants to taste that bitter fruit of truth. That's my perspective. That's my life. Our show was about two men struggling to make it. Cosby's show was about, I made it. I'm a doctor. I have my lovely family, my precious son, and my 3 beautiful daughters. It was the perfect life. We were the opposite. That contrast didn't sit well with everyone in the industry, particularly those who wanted to portray a more refined, aspirational image of black life. While the Cosby Show showcased success and wealth, the Wayans Brothers was raw, gritty, and rooted in their real-life experiences. It resonated with working-class audiences, but it wasn't everyone's cup of tea. Beyond the criticism, Marlon and Shawn had to navigate the complexities of working within the television industry. As young creators, they quickly realized that they were stepping into an arena where their voices weren't always welcomed. Marlon credited their big brother, Keenen Ivory Wayans, for teaching them an important lesson during his time on In Living Color. The key for me was, don't tell me what I can't say. Tell me how I can say it. Still, Marlon admitted they had a lot of growing up to do. We were young and naive, he said. We didn't want to listen to anyone. That attitude often led to clashes with their older, white executive producers, who didn't fully understand or embrace the Wayans' comedic style and cultural perspective. Despite its popularity, the Wayans Brothers came to an abrupt and unexpected end in 1999 when the WB canceled it without a proper series finale. Fans were left stunned, and even the cast members were dissatisfied with how things wrapped up. After all, the show was an integral part of the WB's launch lineup, helping establish the network as a home for fresh and relatable comedy. But just like that, it was over. No farewell, no closure, just an unceremonious goodbye. Thankfully, the Wayans Brothers reached a key milestone before it ended. The show hit the 100-episode mark needed for syndication, officially ending with 101 episodes. That achievement meant the series would live on in reruns, but the lack of a proper finale remained a sore spot for fans. The abruptness of the cancellation didn't go unnoticed by Shawn Wayans either. He even referenced it humorously in the movie Scary Movie, throwing a little shade at the WB in true Wayans fashion. Fast forward to 2019, on the 24th anniversary of the show's debut, and Marlon Wayans took a moment to reflect on its legacy. In a heartfelt Instagram post, he penned a lengthy note to commemorate the occasion, thanking fans for supporting a vision that he and Shawn had dreamed up as kids. Marlon shared some behind-the-scenes truths about the challenges they faced, the lack of credit they received, and the harsh critiques they endured. In his post, Marlon didn't hold back. They never credited us with being the premier show of the WB network. They never gave us credit for often beating NBC's #1 hit, Friends, in many markets, including Atlanta. They never gave us the respect to do a final episode after a 5-season run. But what we did get was the respect and love from our audience. That love from fans was the lifeline for the Wayans Brothers. The show resonated with viewers because of its authenticity, humor, and the undeniable chemistry between Sean and Marlon.
You stank ass hoochies. Hey, they easy to get, especially in my hood.
It wasn't just a sitcom, it was a piece of culture, especially for young Black audiences who saw their struggles and laughter reflected on screen. Even with the reported mistreatment from the network, Marlon emphasized how much they gained from the experience. We got to develop as young artists on a weekly basis in front of the world, and he wrote, we learned the skill set to make us movie stars. And most of all, we made a classic TV show that still runs and still makes people laugh to this day. Sean and Marlon Wayans weren't just the stars of the Wayans Brothers. They were also two young creators with a clear vision for the show. That vision included casting the legendary John Witherspoon as their father, Pops. But getting him on board wasn't as simple as it might seem. In fact, Sean and Marlon had to fight tooth and nail for Witherspoon to even be considered, despite his undeniable talent and decades-long comedy career. When the Wayans Brothers was in its early stages of development, NBC originally expressed interest in the project. However, the network wasn't sold on the idea of casting John Witherspoon as the patriarch. Sean and Marlon, on the other hand, were dead set on Witherspoon for the role. To them, there wasn't even a debate. He was Pops. They didn't just want him, they refused to consider anyone else. In a heartfelt tribute at Witherspoon's funeral, Sean shared the story of how they stood their ground. He said, we didn't care. We was like, that's our Pops. That's it. Take it or leave it.
NBC didn't want him, but we hired him anyway. They wanted, yeah, it was like we didn't care. It was like, that's our Pops, that's it. Take it or leave it.
But apparently NBC wasn't ready to take it. The network dangled the opportunity in front of Sean and Marlon, but only on the condition that they pick a different actor to play their dad. Who did NBC want instead? None other than Danny Glover, a Hollywood legend in his own right. But as Sean humorously recalled during his tribute, we couldn't see him on there telling me and Marlon, get in here. I'm getting too old for this mess.
From Dad, they wanted Danny Glover. Listen, we all love Danny Glover. I think he's a tremendous actor, but I couldn't see him on our show calling me and Marlon over talking about, get Marlon, Sean, get in.
While Glover is a fantastic actor, his vibe just didn't match the energy or comedic timing Sean and Marlon envisioned for the character. Unwilling to compromise, Sean and Marlon stuck to their guns. They turned down NBC's offer and kept pushing for Witherspoon. That decision could have been the end of the road for the Wayans Brothers. But Warner Brothers stepped in and saw the potential. They greenlit the show and embraced Witherspoon as Pops, proving Sean and Marlon right. The rest, as they say, is history. When the Wayans Brothers premiered, John Witherspoon's portrayal of Pops became one of the show's standout elements. He wasn't just the boys' dad. He was a hilarious, wisecracking force of nature who could steal a scene with a single line. His comedic timing, unique delivery, and larger-than-life personality brought a level of authenticity and heart to the show that no one else could have matched.
Paper.
Whether he was shouting his signature line, bang, 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 or dishing out unfiltered advice in that iconic Witherspoon style, Pops became one of the most beloved TV dads of all time. After Witherspoon's passing in 2019, the comedy world mourned the loss of a legend. Fans, friends, and co-stars alike reflected on his incredible career, which included iconic roles in films like Friday, Boomerang, House Party, and voice work on The Boondocks. But for many, his role as Pops on the Wayans Brothers will always be a favorite. In his tribute, Sean also pointed out how Witherspoon's role on the Wayans Brothers helped cement the show's place in TV history. We got to make a classic with him, Sean said. And he wasn't wrong. Decades later, fans still laugh at Witherspoon's hilarious one-liners, larger-than-life antics, and unforgettable scenes. One of the biggest talking points about the show was its comedic style. Sean and Marlon have always leaned heavily into slapstick humor, outrageous antics, and physical comedy. For many fans, this was the heart of what made the Wayans Brothers so much fun. They loved the over-the-top, goofy energy the brothers brought to every episode. But not everyone was on board. Some critics felt that the comedy relied too much on stereotypes and exaggerated physical humor, arguing that this approach limited the show's appeal to a wider audience. It was a style that either clicked with you or didn't, and for Sean and Marlon, they were just being themselves, loud, physical, and unapologetically funny. Then there was the theme song drama. If there's one thing fans of black sitcoms know, it's that the theme song can be just as iconic as the show itself. Think Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Living Single. The opening music sets the tone and becomes part of the show's identity. The Wayans Brothers took that tradition to the next level by being the first sitcom to use a known hip-hop track as its official theme. For the first 2 seasons, the show opened with Electric Relaxation by A Tribe Called Quest. This was a bold and brilliant choice. Sean, a former DJ, and Marlon, both steeped in hip-hop culture, made sure the song reflected their vibe. It matched their style of dress, their slang, and their overall energy perfectly. But after the second season, the theme song changed. The brothers, along with their friend Omar Epps, produced a new instrumental for the opening credits. While the new theme wasn't bad, fans were upset. Electric Relaxation had become synonymous with the show, and switching it felt like messing with a core part of its identity. Some fans never forgave the change, but the use of a hip-hop classic in the first place was groundbreaking and set the tone for the show's run. Creative shifts like this weren't uncommon for the show. Take Pops's Diner, for example. In the first season, the diner was in Harlem, which made sense for the characters and gave the show an authentic, relatable feel. But by the second season, the diner moved to Rockefeller Center in Manhattan. The new spot had a totally different energy, sleeker and more upscale compared to the raw, real charm of Harlem. This change gave the show a fresh look, trading its gritty roots for something that felt more like a polished sitcom setup. Plus, with Rockefeller Center in the mix, it opened the door for fresh storylines, fun new character dynamics, and some pretty cool guest stars. This sometimes left fans wondering about the direction the show was heading in. Some fans weren't exactly thrilled about the move to Manhattan, feeling like it was a play to make the show more commercial and lose some of its original charm. Harlem had given the series its unique edge, and shifting to a more polished setting left some viewers wondering if it was starting to drift from what made it special in the first place. The move wasn't the only shakeup. There were plenty of creative twists as the show went on. Characters evolved, storylines shifted, and the humor took on some new flavors. With fresh recurring faces and different comedic angles, it was clear the Wayans brothers and their team were all about keeping things fresh and experimenting with their vision. Another issue that followed the Wayans brothers was the constant comparisons to other Wayans family projects. The Wayans family has always been a powerhouse in comedy, with hits like In Living Color and blockbuster parody films like Scary Movie and Don't Be a Menace. While this brought some attention to the Wayans brothers, it also cast a shadow over the sitcom. Critics often compared it to these larger-than-life projects, questioning whether it held up in quality. The Wayans brothers had some pretty big shoes to fill. All the buzz around the family's earlier successes brought attention to the sitcom, but it also came with a ton of pressure. Fans and critics couldn't help but compare, wondering if the show could hold up to the comedy gold the Wayans crew was known for. In Living Color wasn't just a show, it was a revolution in sketch comedy. Keenan brought the laughs with bold humor and sharp takes on real-world issues. And the talent? Unmatched. Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, and even J.Lo got their big breaks here. It was a game changer that left some massive shoes to fill for every Wayans project that followed. And the Scary Movie series? Total comedy gold. Keenan and the fam turned horror flicks into laugh-out-loud parodies that ruled the box office and brought the spoof genre back to life. And Don't Be a Menace? A hilarious takedown of 90s hood movies, packed with over-the-top jokes that cemented the Wayans spot as kings of comedy. Even with the constant comparisons, the Wayans brothers brought its own flavor to the table. Sean and Marlon Wayans got to flex their comedy chops, pulling in a loyal crew of fans along the way. The show dished out a fun blend of slapstick moments, relatable family chaos, and hilarious setups that clicked with its audience. The show definitely added another win to the Wayans family's entertainment empire. It showed off their knack for bringing the laughs in every format, whether it was sketches, sitcoms, or big screen hits. Plus, the show put the spotlight on Sean and Marlon's unbeatable sibling chemistry, which became a signature part of their comedy style, which ultimately went on to help them earn the kind of careers they both have had. They took their sitcom success and ran with it, bringing their loyal fans along for the ride. The show didn't just make people laugh, it also put them on Hollywood's radar as comedy heavyweights. They used that momentum to dive into bigger projects, with fans hyped to see what they'd cook up next. Working on the sitcom wasn't just about acting. It was like comedy boot camp. Writing, producing, and directing. They got hands-on experience with it all. That behind-the-scenes hustle gave them the skills to step up and create some of their most iconic projects, like the Scary Movie series. The show also helped them make solid connections in the industry. From collaborators to attracting top talent, their network grew as much as their skills. Plus, working side by side strengthened their family bond. When it comes to the Wayans brothers, there are plenty of behind-the-scenes gems that fans might not know about. Beyond the iconic humor and memorable characters, the show also created opportunities for some surprising names in Hollywood to leave their mark, both in front of and behind the camera. From seasoned veterans to unexpected sitcom stars, the show brought together a unique mix of talent that added depth and creativity to its production. One name that stands out is Glynn Turman, a legend in the world of black television and film. By the time he stepped behind the camera for the Wayans brothers, Turman already had a resume most actors and directors could only dream of. Fans might recognize him as Leroy Preach Jackson from the classic coming-of-age movie Cooley High, or as Professor Bradford Taylor from the hit sitcom A Different World. Turman was already an accomplished actor, but he was also building a solid reputation as a director. Before joining the Wayans brothers, he had already directed episodes of popular shows like Hanging with Mr. Cooper and A Different World. Turman began working with Sean and Marlon during the show's third season and stayed on through the end of the fourth season.
Yeah, nice to meet you. What's up, baby?
His involvement wasn't just about directing episodes, it also planted the seeds for future collaborations. Years later, when Marlon was creating his Netflix comedy sextuplets, he brought Turman on board to act in the film. This kind of loyalty and connection speaks volumes about how much respect the Wayans family had for Turman and his talents. It's a testament to how the Wayans brothers wasn't just a sitcom, it was a springboard for creative partnerships that extended far beyond the series itself. But Turman wasn't the only unexpected name to step behind the camera for the Wayans bros. Another surprising contributor was none other than Scott Baio. Yes, that's Scott Baio, best known for his roles as Chachi Arcola in Happy Days and its spin-off Joni Loves Chachi, as well as the title role in Charles in Charge. At first glance, Baio might not seem like someone you'd associate with a show like the Wayans brothers, but he directed 4 episodes during the show's 1996 season.
Know me, I'm crazy, boy! I'm crazy! Brooklyn!
What's even more interesting is how this opportunity opened doors for Baio to work on other black sitcoms. After directing for the Wayans brothers, he went on to direct episodes of The Jamie Foxx Show, Malcolm and Eddie, and The Parkers. Another layer of the Wayans brothers' legacy is tied to its role in television history. It was the flagship program of the WB network. While this fact often gets overlooked, it's a major part of the show's impact. When the WB network launched, the Wayans brothers was one of 4 sitcoms that made up its original 2-hour Wednesday night lineup. Alongside Unhappily Ever After, The Parent, Hood, and Muscle, it helped lay the foundation for what the WB network would become. What's more, The Wayans Brothers was the first original sitcom to air on the network, cementing its place as a trailblazer. Initially, the show wasn't even called The Wayans Brothers. Its working title during early development was Brother to Brother. But as the project took shape, the title changed, better reflecting the unique comedic voice of Sean and Marlon, as well as the legacy of their family name. It's incredible to think about how this show, which helped define the WB network's identity, went on to become such a cultural touchstone. Another fun behind-the-scenes tidbit involves the talented Janette Dubois, who joined the cast in the third season as Grandma Ellington, Sean and Marlon's grandmother and Pop's mother-in-law. By the time she appeared on the Wayans Brothers, Dubois was already a seasoned actress with a resume packed with iconic roles. Fans of classic TV would recognize her as Willona Woods from Good Times, 1974 to 1979. Beyond acting, Dubois was also a gifted musician, co-writing and singing the timeless Movin' On Up theme song for the Jeffersons, 1975 to 1985, which remains one of the most beloved TV themes of all time. On the Wayans Brothers, Grandma Ellington and Pops had a hilariously combative dynamic. They couldn't stand each other, and their banter always brought big laughs.
Come on, give me a big kiss.
Negro.
However, here's the kicker. In real life, Janette Dubois was 3 years younger than John Witherspoon, who played Pops. Through the magic of makeup, Dubois was transformed into an elderly grandmother, but her youthful energy still shined through in her performance. If anything, her role proved the saying, "Black don't crack." She not only brought her comedic timing to the show, but also showcased the incredible versatility that made her a legend in the industry. Speaking of family dynamics, one of the show's funniest running gags was the mysterious absence of Sean and Marlon's mother. Despite numerous plots involving Pops' marriage, including one episode where Sean and Marlon thought Pops was cheating, their mother never actually appeared on screen. Her absence became something of a comedic tool, adding to the humor of family-related storylines. The jokes often revolved around her without needing her to physically appear, and that added an extra layer of hilarity. In some ways, her invisibility made the show feel even more relatable, because plenty of us know that one family member who's always talked about but never seems to show up. Of course, this absence didn't detract from the show's heart. Pops' love for his boys was evident in every episode, and his relationship with them carried much of the emotional weight of the series. While their mom was never seen, the bond between Pops, Sean, and Marlon gave fans everything they needed to feel connected to the family.